Agenda. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second. Discussion. I'm going to go on to 5, new business.
I think we need a vote.
Excuse me?
A vote.
Oh,
There's a motion and a second.
oh, I'm sorry. I was just excited about what we have to discuss tonight. And do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
It is. We need a vote.
A vote? Okay, those all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes 5-0. Item 5A. The only, I did have one question, and actually I just want to confirm on the Underwood checks. There are 3 in the month of January on pages 14 and 15. I understand the 22 for 7. Let's see, leave that. Underwood Management, we have 3 items on both pages. We've got 22,471, which is the standard monthly fee, and just the 672517, and the
67 was mileage and parking.
okay.
And 825.
That was for work authorization.
On the Okeechobee Boulevard corridor that the council has, that's part of the cost recovery that Jim works under us.
Okay, all right, so Jim's under
Not cost recovery, work authorization.
work authorization.
Right.
So, let's see, all right, so,
It's not cost recovery.
That's for the planning and zoning board. They just approved another 6 meetings, and the council did on that extension, because that moratorium cost recovery has been going on for a while.
so when we see charges for Underwood Management, it can include,
Our contract, our basic monthly contract is always done the second run of the month, whether it's the 20th or the 24th. If it's at the first month, part of the month, it will be the work authorization that Jim's doing for the town council.
If we look at the cheat sheet, whatever they call it,
Yeah.
on page 4,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still curious about these numbers that are very high.
Okay.
The discount fees, the waste oversight,
Okay, the discount,
administration fee, and the land research management, those are all extraordinarily high numbers.
well,
Percentages.
okay, and I want you to, when I put in at the very bottom, individual contracts, because these are the ones that are everybody's interested in, under research management, that hit, I just put in what we write a check for. So most of Jim's expenses, 99% of it goes to cost recovery. So it's not for his planning and zoning contract. His planning and zoning contract would be that work authorization that we just did. So maybe last year he spent all of $10,000 on work authorizations that were part of the planning and zoning. But when you see that high number, it's the cost recovery accounts. All of these new development that's coming in, that's what he does all the time, and those are funded by those developers. So while I give you his full amount, it's not necessarily, that's not all charged to that account.
It's confusing to us, and it's come up a couple of times. Is there some way moving forward with the black bar that we can
Well, no,
distinguish
How about we
those?
just don't report it?
no, because,
No.
no,
Because it is not a good thing.
There's
Well,
no good fix for it?
this is what's going to happen. If I tell you that Jim's was only $1,000, and the finance committee or the public starts looking at the detail on the sheets, and they see, we wrote a check to land research management for $20,000. I'm just making,
Right.
why are you only reflecting 1,200? Just like the attorney's bills. The attorney a lot of his is charged to cost recovery too. It's not in his line item for legal services, it gets hit to the, but if I reflected just what he charged for legal services, then everybody would read this and say, well, Goran Chertoff's bill this month was $20,000 and you're only reflecting $5,000.
Right.
And the same thing with ours. So I include, if I get a reimbursement, because it's included under our name. Not all the contracts are like that. Ours is, the attorneys, Jim Fleshman's, I think that's it. The rest of them match exactly with what we wrote checks for.
Sheriff,
Sheriff's Department also.
because we have a special item that we're doing for,
Well, that just started this month. The sheriff, we have a new line item that the council approved extra money for enforcement on manure hauling, and that doesn't come under the contract, but that's a separate check that we just started doing this month to the sheriff. It's not like his contract. It just doesn't appear in this January. We just wrote the first check the other day.
Okay.
And that's the only problem. I don't have enough space here to break out and put 2 lines for each of those.
Right.
Let me ask this question, and it has come up many a time.
Yes.
Is it possible to take these ones that have cost recovery, put them on a separate page and across from this page so that we can see that? Okay,
Well,
tell me why.
I can see what I can do.
I shouldn't have brought this in. This was my idea. I apologize.
Well, it is a help, but at the same time,
We're looking for additional,
yeah.
we want more.
Sorry, we always want more.
We're
Well,
interested to find out where the cost recovery is going, et cetera,
Well,
you know.
You can-
It's a cost recovery.
If you look at the trial balance,
Yes.
if you look at, and we don't have, we will be getting the trial balance for
Okay.
Yeah.
on page 20. She'll be giving us the trial balance, the completed one in the next agenda. you said,
Right.
correct? Okay, but if you look at page 20, does not the CR stand for cost recovery?
Yes.
Yes.
So you can.
But you can't see who charged. You can see $864 on Solar Sport.
Right.
That was charged to that cost recovery account. And you can see how much was charged to Big Dog, and the
Right.
Day property now has 4 cost recovery accounts, so that's going to become very confusing. And Atlantic Land Design and Simon, which is all one, they have 3 now. And we have different people having different things. We have mitigation cost recovery accounts now. So, but it doesn't reflect who's getting that money.
What portion goes to what contract?
Yes, and right now we have that if it's an engineering, because of the B road and the road construction, that'll start now. And then you have just Jim Fleshman and the attorney and the Palm Beach Post are the majority of our cost recovery that bill to cost recovery. The planner and the lawyers and the advertising. Those are most of the charges that are charged to cost recovery come from those vendors. But I could do a breakout on a monthly basis if y'all would like. If you look at Mr. Fleshman's bills, at the end, I always bring them in. It reflects which ones are cost recovery and which of them are. He separates all of his billing, by project. So at the very back where we include all of planning and zoning invoices, they're reflected back there for him. I do not provide the town attorney's billings.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right, so on page 4, is everyone happy with page 4? Comments are done? Okay. Item 2, page 10. Bank reconciliation. Actually, looks like page 11. We had an extra page in here, you realize that
Two,
from,
I got 2 pages.
Yeah. It's actually page 11. Reconciliation?
I thought it was just me.
No, we all have, we're all by one. The outstanding checks. Why is there an outstanding, is this the one that's going to be voided? These outstanding checks?
Yes.
Actually, being
Yes.
voids.
And if you look on page 12, they're highlighted up
Yes,
here with the
that's all right.
notation.
All right. Okay, so now, we did not make a motion to approve everything together, I believe, so do we need to be proper here? Go to continue on to item B, bank statement, which is a separate, it's not included, right?
Right,
It's a separate document we received.
yes.
May we proceed, or do we need to?
Well, I need you to approve the financial reports, or, and then because,
Typically, we do A through,
Yes, and we did not say that in the beginning.
no, somebody could make the motion if they so choose.
Some- Would someone like to make that motion?
A through F
Yeah.
inclusively, I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. So we can now continue, and then we'll approve it, we'll go through it at the end. Item B, bank statement. These deposits. There's nothing unusual in the bank statement, is there, Paula?
Oh.
It's pretty standard. Any discussion on the bank statement? Okay, are we fine with the bank statement? No one seems to
No.
have any questions, comments? Okay. Moving on to C, page 25 instead of 24. Review planning and zoning invoices, which we've already started the discussion basically of Jim's relations, land research management.
this first invoice that says wildlife,
Yes.
that is a council directed, so it is charged to that planning and zoning contract. The next one would show Big Dog, which is a cost recovery account. And so that wouldn't be charged to his contract, but it would be included in that total amount that I put in. The next one is for the commons, the cost recovery account.
So basically, you're showing us, just for clarity for the public
Yes,
in the audio, that how these charges are applied to his contract versus how they are charged
Yes.
to cost recovery.
and I think in this month's bill, there was one, wildlife, and the rest of the other 3 invoices were just specific cost recovery.
Is this calculations receipt or?
Which one?
The remaining
For
code?
Jupiter, they're added receipts, they're separate reimbursables.
Well,
Those
if
are
you're,
this one you're talking about?
no, oh,
Okay.
that was for mailings.
All right. So, no questions on planning and zoning invoices? Reimbursements? One reimbursement?
Yes.
Ooh, no tax?
No, there's tax on that.
I don't see any. Tax exemption number. Mr. Chu?
Oh, well, we have a card at Office Max.
We just want to point that out, that you've listened,
I actually read through it. Otherwise, I would brought it up. You do let it go.
okay.
We were hoping.
We're just showing you that we look at it too.
Okay, right. Well, when you're not here, we point these things out in your name, okay?
Thank you.
Yep. All right, so one review of reimbursement, item E. Are we there yet?
Well, wait a minute, those in the financials, so it's
Okay.
really A through D.
A through D?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't consider E.
No, that's a
Okay,
different
no,
topic.
Okay. All right. So we have a
So it's
motion.
my understanding that the motion by Ms. Kane was A through D.
Yes,
Correct.
that's
It's
correct.
A through D.
I thought.
Yeah,
And the
that's
second agreed.
Was A through D, yes.
And we need to, again, ask if that, all those in favor of approving A through D? Aye. And none opposed? Passes 5-0. Okay. Moving on to item E. Do we have a motion to discuss?
Sure, I'll make the motion.
It's right on the agenda.
Well, I know. I just want to make sure there's no discussion, there's no one opposed to this item E? Okay. I do want to make a comment on this. Everyone on the committee is more than, we are all permitted to bring things forward that we wish to discuss. And as chair, I'm aware of what is on the agenda. I call in and I check. I just want to make a comment here for the public's record that the town council never requested our input or opinion on any aspect of this project. So I was a little bit puzzled as to why 1 year later we were reviewing this. I certainly hope it's not for election purposes. I have no objection to this being on the agenda, but we are a bipartisan committee, and this committee I expect to remain above any election issues. I would never, I am running for seat 1 against Ron Terrio. I want that made public, somebody who may not know that. So with that being said, let's proceed.
You have the floor. Thank you, Madam Chair. The reason I want to, I request her to put this on agenda is because that I was approached by some concerned residents of the town. I know that through the last, how many years, 5, 6 years, I've been serving on the committee, being 4.5 as a chair. This committee has been operating in very, very good order. We have been through several administrations. So I think to maintain the credibility of this committee is very important. That's something which I always proud of. So with that, when I was approached by some citizens concerning the comments that the projects had been way over budgeted, which was not brought to the attention of this committee. So I have personal problem with that. Number 2, regarding the way that we handle it, and then the IG from the county was brought into the picture. So when I first thought the IG, so I thought, I know, in the county we have 3, one is me, with the school district, one is the water control district, South Florida, there's an IG. The other one is John Kerry with the county. So when there's something catching my eyes, I felt very, it is very incumbent on at least my personal interest to find out what is it that somebody refers to as the IG said the construction project should not be piggyback. So I have been in investigation, auditing for all my life. So I really want to look into the detail, and I did. I thank you for giving me all this information. I had the chance to look into the details of the invoices. I think this is important that for any government entities, especially for financials, that we understand this. Effective internal control is to make sure all the transactions, purchases, whatever they are properly budgeted, authorized, executed, recorded, and reported. Right? So all these several elements are very, very important from my standpoint. So I looked into this, the old gymming project for this 3 rows from that standpoint: budget, authorization, recorded, approval, and reported. So I happened to look into all the records per given to me, and then I was able to put together a schedule which I hope could help everybody in here.
And I'd like Barbara to have a copy of this, and she is free to jump in at any time.
Yeah. Well, I made extra copy. Everybody in the audience will have one. I'm sure you all will enjoy going through this. Okay, I want to make sure everybody has a copy. So there's
There's a couple extra.
Yeah, I made extra copy.
But I would ask that you start with the one thing I have noticed, Mr. Chu, and perhaps at some point at the end, we will get into the actual discussion of whether this project should have been put out for bid too. Is that going to be part of your discussion?
Well, whether or not it's being put out to bid is not my concern.
Okay, I will bring that up.
That's fine. This is the second part. I mean, you're the chair. You could add in.
Well, no, I'm part of the committee, it's not that I'm a chair.
I just don't want to sidetrack.
Okay.
Because my concerns are twofold. Number one, are we really over budgeted from 70 something to 140? Number two, about the piggyback idea. Is it really that, is it a true piggyback, or was it properly done? What was the input from the IG, from the county IG, that to give us the input, because the town built.
Did you want to say something?
Sure. Let me start with what was done by the council.
Can
Number-
I finish my comment first?
Okay,
Because
I'm sorry.
I don't
Okay,
lost my chain of
I'm
thought.
listening to you.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to figure out, I have 2 questions here. Number one,
I know.
regarding the budget and over budget.
Okay.
Number 2, piggyback. What was it that the IG's comment on us? Because that's very important. So that's the only thing that we look into, that are we doing the right thing? That's my concern.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, if you look, I have given you copies of every set of minutes starting in 2013 forward, every time this item came up. I have highlighted it in yellow, that section. So let me start by
I
this.
appreciate that. Let me finish the whole
Okay.
point because, I have all my book in here, otherwise I would lost my chain of thought.
Okay.
Okay, let's let him go through
Okay.
this, and then
Because-
we'll have you.
Oh, I
This
thought
is
it
the
was
first time
done.
I see it, so, even you go through it, I may not be able to digest it right away. But so, that I would have problem with that, I want to have a very effective and good debate, and I don't want to be
No, I
going
think
in
it's,
circles.
we'll have a
Yeah.
good discussion on
Yeah,
both sides, it's
absolutely.
good for the
Okay.
public.
Well, first of all, if you look at the handout which I shared with you all, if you look at on page 2, on the second bullet regarding the budget which we talk about, did we really over that by from 70 something to 140? The first one I just mentioned. What is it that input from IG, the OIG from the county regarding the practice? Okay. if you look at page 3, okay, I want to read it again. All the numbers here are based on the number provided by Perla, and then I was able to go to check the invoices and to know what they are. And I think the numbers were correct. I appreciate the Perla giving all the numbers. And I was able to generate page 3, the schedule. You see that based on material on the agenda, page 42, 43, and 44, that the total council approved, the old gym, those 3 rows, was $72,000.
Did you look at the?
No.
You see the page 42, 44, 43? That's in the agenda.
No, that is not true. The council approved more than that for the project.
Yeah, I have not finished
Okay.
that. Yes.
I just,
And then the town council also approved a change order for $10,000 added to it, which is for the, as recommended by the engineering firm, that will require additional rough fill. So, I mean, that's another $10,000. So the total approval budget was $82,000. Okay, is it correct? Okay, now, looking into the actual expenditure, which we just talked about effective delivery, budget and actual. Look at actual expenditure. This number came from page 55, all the number add up, and I said they are accurate. Add up to the $81,000, $81,412. So with the budget approved by the town council, 82. So actually, the money we paid for this project was $12 below the original budget in terms of the dollar amount we paid for the material to do the work.
Okay, so, wait, back up to what you just said. What did you just say, in terms of the dollar amount paid for the material?
The budget, yes,
Okay.
yes. Now, look at page 4. Now, page 4 will give you the details of all the $141,000 that we are subject to questioning by the resident, concerned resident with whom I was approached. If you see that on the right-hand side, this dollar amount matches what most of them matches what Perla had. I do find an item which item number 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, $3,400, $3,418, which was actually for payment to the FEMA.
and I'm going to stop right there. That was one of the adjusting accrual backs that we did in November. So that has been changed, but the 140 comes from, we have 2 charges that you got in your packet from the Water Control District. One of them was to prepare the road.
I didn't finish that.
Okay.
I'm going to cover it.
So take out the 3,400. I didn't include that
Yes,
in.
I appreciate it, because
Okay.
that will be coming up in the next page.
Sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
We're numbers
I did.
people, we took it out.
Yeah.
I've been doing the numbers.
That was an error.
Okay, now, the FEMA part, 34, that is, I probably said it was adjusted later on. So that 34 should not have been there because that the same engineering firm did some work regarding, I think, the elevation, the drainage that are we subject to the flood insurance, thing like that. So that is a quick figure there, because that will affect our insurance costs. So the $3,400 should be put somewhere else. The last 2 that we see, the OGIM reserving and the rock field, they add up to the dollar amount that we paid the OGIM road, which is 81,411. So that pretty much being reconciled. And the other soil sample 110. So all these things add up to be $141,000, $836.
So the total cost of the project,
Which is the original OG material plus the engineering. Any questions?
You
No.
can't exclude, they couldn't do it's the microsurfacing until they fixed the road and the drainage, which was brought to the council, and they required it. So we have $9,700 to the
I
district.
cover the next page.
Okay, well, it was
Yeah.
3 contracts,
I want
okay?
to do it page by page.
Okay.
Let me finish, okay? I know
Okay.
you are in the project basically, you're more familiar, I appreciate that.
No, that's how we'd have to do it.
I know.
It gives you it's transparency, it tells you exactly what the project
So on page
costs.
5, that is the dollar amount we paid the water control district which is under a separate contract based on dollar amount. I believe it's $50 an hour, including labor and machinery.
Okay, but so are you saying that, I understand it's separate, but what you're saying is we're gonna look at the total cost of this project, in addition to the 141, we would add in the 12,978?
Not necessarily, depending on how we
And the
what
purpose of the
angle.
evaluation would be?
I think it's more important to what was budgeted, what's actual, okay? It is something we all, and also excluded. This is for any accountability standpoint, okay? You could add a lot more costs to it as long as it's approved by the council. But in this case here, we have different items. And when I see the major difference was due to the engineering cost. So I'm interested in why it can be.
Okay. First of all, this item wasn't budgeted. This was a walk-on to the town council. You recognize that the town council, in their prerogative, they can choose to do whatever they want to do. And this project was brought forward by the town council, not by staff, not by the citizens, but it came forward by the town council. So it was done by action. So what I have provided is, I have provided every set of minutes. When the IG got involved, the reasons for the IG even provided me their letter today on what they submitted to the council after the fact on what caused them to come forward and talk about piggybacking. Every step of the way, the council approved, whether it was the North Florida emulsions that we piggybacked from Volusia County. We also had to get the road repaired. The council wanted to hurry because they wanted to do this before hurricane season. They didn't want to go out to bid, and the only contract that the town could use was the district's road repair contract, where they could charge that against that account. So we spent $12,000 for the district to get the road repaired, and we had to replace the culvert because part of the drainage was you can't do the road. At one time they talked about doing the road, and then after we fixed the road, then we would go back and rip up the road to put in the drainage. The council decided we had to put the culvert in and we had to do the drainage before we spent the money to put the surfacing on there. So all this is included in all these sets of minutes I've given you. At every step, it went back to the council. This item wasn't something that came up one time and it was over. It stretched out over a 7-month period. And that council, at every step, took action. Sometimes they asked for the plans. We've got design plans. We surveyed those 3 roads. That was all part of the project.
I'm not questioning whether or not
I've got a
who.
question, Mr. Chair. Are what you saying, from what I gather, that all bids should be put out for bid? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Why not?
Well, I'm not.
I mean, we haven't talked about that here on this council.
We are not.
I was gonna get to that.
Yes, we have.
No, that's not the focus. The focus is, if we consider it as a piggyback, that was approved by the council.
She just said it was.
It was. The
But
council approved it. The IG came in and they made their recommendations and they presented their position on piggybacking. They've been very.
Let me tell you, I wanted to address that
Yeah.
now too, because I'm very interested in what happened. That's why I kept saying at the beginning.
Are we
What was
at
the
piggyback?
input?
Are we
What-
at?
No, not yet. Because
Okay, we're at
what is
over
it?
budget. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
you said
No.
budget, over budget, and then
said-
piggyback.
I kept asking myself, what is the piggyback? What is it, the input from the IG that would have affect the process differently? So I'm not questioning. Yes, I will question the part. Let me finish this part. So now, with that, money jumped from 72 to 140. A majority of that was because of the engineering cost. And I happened to talk to at least, I listened to the tape. I quickly read some of the idea, which I may not be able to digest everything. I know that Mark Cutney, at the time, town manager, he was concerned regarding the person who's going to sign off on the town's behalf. So I think that's the reason that we have got into an engineering firm doing a lot of work, which I happened to be in that meeting, that would not have been me. That's my recollection. So that means there were certain
Well,
things.
time out, I just want to ask you, you bring up the engineer. I remember there was and again, this is top of mind, perhaps it's in our notes and I'm not seeing it. I remember there was also a quote for $170,000 that included, that the engineer recommended for doing drainage and everything. So, I mean,
I think they did it, right? They did
No, they-
the design.
They designed, drainage, they had to do
They
survey.
designed it.
They had to get everybody to sign over the.
but what I'm asking is, what is the difference between what was offered in the 170 and based on the amount of money we're seeing here?
So I didn't look at 170 because that
It's not
was.
just,
I would estimate the 170 was just for construction, it was not engineering. So the whole project was going to.
that's what I'm asking.
So the material that the contract actually piggyback did not go over budget. Something like
Well,
that.
I would
It's-
hesitate to say that, because in fact, it was approved.
There was change orders.
But we had to do a budget amendment in order to cover it.
Absolutely.
So
But that's a different, that's
original-
different thing. I want to tie that into piggyback because that's very important.
We went over budget.
I personally have to, my staff have to monitor about $1.5 billion construction project in school. I send my staff to listen to all the bid opening, to observe it. If something gets jumped into potential irregularity, we have to stop. Because when we piggyback something, we only piggyback on the unit price. Now if I could continue with the work of the piggyback, because that's the concept very important. Because I'm afraid that for those who have not get a chance to listen to the audio, like may be confused. If you want to, you could go back to the audio. I have the exact location.
Okay.
It only 15 minutes. At 30 minutes, what happened was
Okay,
the
What meeting is that, Mr.?
Give us the details.
January 14.
Well, we don't have.
Well, you
it
gotta
on-
start
Oh,
on
yeah.
the December the 3rd.
You have that. I found it.
Okay.
I found it on, you don't have a video, but you do have the audio.
Okay.
The time is 43 minutes and 38 seconds.
On December 3rd and January 14th.
January 14, yes.
What's the time?
43 minutes and 38 seconds
And what is this
through
gonna tell us?
ended 56 minutes and 20 seconds.
And what is this gonna tell us?
It will tell you what the IG told us at the time, what they conclude. And I
In their words or
In their
someone
words.
repeating
No,
what
no,
they
in
said?
their words.
The IG is there in presence.
Yeah, the staff, his name is Hank.
Right,
Hank
Hank,
Nagle.
because here we have Hank's letter that read that. Do you have the copy of this?
No, I
Have you
don't.
seen this? Oh, well, let me share this with you, and we need to make sure we read that paragraph.
And I would suggest that before we jump to the 14th, we need to look at December the 3rd, and that's the reason that triggered the IG coming in. So you're not, if you gotta start with January the 3rd, and I've included
December
that.
3rd.
December the
Okay,
3rd.
I apologize. You have that? Yeah, you get your own copy.
I don't have this.
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do, it's in your pack that I provided you. The ex-
I will say,
Today.
I
Today.
had problems open, I don't know what's
I
going
just,
on.
I just
had
opened it
problems
up, I just
opening
opened
up.
it today.
I had to go get mine because mine wouldn't
Yeah.
open up on the
No,
internet.
Just
It's in, you've got a pack here that starts December the 3rd, and
No,
this is what
you-
triggers the
You give it
IG.
to us in the email?
I gave it to you today. I
When?
made copies of all these minutes
Just
today.
here,
Yes,
just like before we came, right?
yes.
Okay, then I haven't had a chance to read it.
But that's
I-
very important because you were asking what triggered the IG.
I know.
And before you get to 14th of January, you got to look at December the 3rd.
Okay. I want to let everybody know that I did spend some time, look in the minutes of that meeting, which I made copies for you guys.
Okay, do
Uh,
we need to?
Well,
is
you,
it okay to
just for you to, it's public information.
Okay.
I think it's good to know that.
And what agenda is this from?
This is, it is stated in there.
January 4th. Okay,
January
but Carla
14th.
was saying we need to go to December 3rd first. That's what
I don't
her
know.
point.
You can't understand the 14th till you look at the 3rd.
Okay.
That's what caused the IG to come. And it wasn't because the staff called the IG.
Yeah, we're all doing this.
it is important because you
understand
became.
that. I will read it, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me know, because I just get it 45 minutes ago, I haven't had a chance to read it. You see the minute here, it stated that the staff from the OIG provide guidance and insight on the piggybacking and provide basic or fundamental element of sound procurement practice. On the second page, on the underneath, and then the last page, hand legal. Because I really want to find out what did they conclude. I think that's very important, okay? Now, you see that, you have that with you. Now, the other part, I was afraid that I may miss something. Because what if they have a report? We don't know, we're not aware. And then part of this committee is to make sure that if there are any concerns, recommendations that management needs to implement, we have to make sure they do it. Yeah, they do it. Yeah. Okay, now with that, I went back to look at their site. They have generated 3 reports regarding the town. One is an investigation on debris removal. They do have a report.
Yes.
The second one is a limited review for computer security. The third report they have is for request for proposal on hurricane debris removal management. So I found they generated 3 reports for the town so far, ever since OIG was started, ever since the town was incorporated.
Well, we have 5 ongoing investigations right
But
now.
that's not within our discussion here. We have 5 or 10, you don't even know, okay?
But they didn't do a report on this. This wasn't a complaint that was
I
filed.
understand that. I think it's
Okay.
important. Like I said, what is it they conclude that we did something?
No. They were doing best practices for contract
I
monitoring.
understand that.
Okay.
I'm going to go there.
This had nothing to do with the
I
town.
understand that. Nothing to do with time. That's it. I want to make it clear.
They used us. The town of Loxahatchee Groves is one of the cities that they use in their test models for all their best
I
practices.
understand that.
It was at my
Yeah,
request because we're very different from every other town, and when they put out these practices, sometimes even if we wanted to comply, they never take into consideration that we are a contract city. So they included us not just as a small community, but one that contracts out all of its services. So
Perla, you concluded for me. I want to say that I couldn't find a report, I couldn't find a conclusion. It was because they came to give us a presentation.
Okay, but we do need to
Yeah,
look at this letter.
Yeah, we could do that, yeah.
Yes.
So, with what they conclude, with the material they give out, there wasn't any official report.
no, because this wasn't
I
about a
understand
report.
that, yeah, I understand that.
They
So-
only generate reports when
so-
there's a complaint filed.
So that means to say the OIG said that our piggyback was wrong.
They didn't, they said they would not recommend construction projects
Yes.
It's not
piggyback.
Yes,
They
I-
didn't say it was incorrect.
Correct.
That was not.
That is what I want to encourage you all to read it, because I went back to the tape. Now, I can tell you why, I can even give you a quick lecture, why construction projects should not be piggybacked, for many reasons, okay? Because for construction project, there are given terms and conditions. We have given engineering, design, architect, specification, all the drainage, site-specific, material-specific, labor-specific, timeline, location, critical path, responsibility of engineer, also the responsibility of the architect, and how do we protect the owner, permitting process, inspection, sign-off, many things. So, if you piggyback on a construction project, that is a no-no. That is a no-no. We should not do that. However, the old these 3 roads were not construction projects. You got to remember, we paid the North Florida company by unit cost. Okay, the design over in Volusia County wasn't used to be.
Let's back up. When you say we paid by unit cost, are you referring to by road or by?
By the measurement of linear feet, by of course, it carries the warning.
Which they provided a lump sum invoicing for.
They have three proposals, add up to $72,000, which were budgeted by the town. Am I correct?
No,
Well, this is the number you gave.
but I understand.
Yeah. Then why you say no?
Well, because it was not an assigned project anymore.
What?
At the time that was approved.
Well, that was the code they gave to the town, right? And the town put it in the budget.
The town did put it in the budget.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
After.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I want to make sure that piggyback had to be the unit price, because that's very important. If you want to buy something, if you buy like a building, you cannot replicate this building somewhere else because of the drainage, you worry about flooding, because of the location. You cannot replicate this one in Miami because we have different air, moisture and different conditions, so you cannot do that. Of course, we strongly discourage piggyback on construction projects, but we do support the purchase, the piggyback of unit price contract, that how much you pay per pound, per linear feet, and that thing that without any subjectivity.
Okay, wait, I want to make sure I understand you. You're saying there's a difference in when we piggyback? I just want to make sure what I just heard you say. So you're saying we don't support piggybacking unless it's in?
You can measure it by unit price.
So if somebody said, I'm going to build your building per square foot? we
No.
could-
No,
It's
I just
in
said
the
it. I just said it. You have given engineer, you have
Right.
landscape dealing, location, the
Right.
moisture, the wind.
Right.
You get 150 variables that affect the construction project.
Right,
Even the location, we have mud in here, you have to mud.
right.
You cannot do it. If you build one here,
So
you
on
have
his
to replace.
project, he gave us a linear price, but he also on his invoicing, let's look at his invoicing, because his invoicing, what page is his invoice on in here? It's in the agenda, is it not?
Yeah.
But we are actually in there's the piggyback contract.
The invoice are one.
We know you're going to continue, I just want
No, no,
to,
I'm
I
here.
just want, this is a valid point where you're talking about
Yeah,
piggybacking. So as an example, let's
Page
just,
64 of 90.
Yeah, 64 starts on.
He billed for quantity.
Quantity,
This
yes.
is the quantity
Quantity
price.
by unit.
Pursuant to the Volusia County Code.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yes.
With 65, 64 actually.
The only part I don't know about is if in the Volusia County contract, the rut L was in there. I don't know that off the top of my head.
Well, there's something they added later on, so as a change order. So
That wasn't included in the, let's start with, when North Florida Emulsions came forward with their bid, they weren't gonna piggyback anything. They submitted 3 quotes for 3
Okay.
different
Let me
roads.
put it clear. I'm not here to defend anybody.
Oh,
I'm here to make sure that the town has the correct number. I don't want that the number being misused because this project was not brought to this committee. So we have no idea, otherwise we would have this discussion long time ago.
right.
So I'm kind of after the fact now.
Yeah, but I was curious what you were saying about piggybacking, that's why I was
Okay,
in
yeah.
definition, I
Yeah.
wanted to make, I understood what you were saying about piggybacking.
When IG said we cannot take it back construction projects because I just read you, I just coming off of my head. These are for construction, they are very complicated. Like in 3 different directions, you will have different requirements. You cannot take it back. I know in my experience, we did piggyback Olympic Height in Boca, we built the same school in Jupiter, exactly the same. But it has some variation, like the ground material, all the same. It is very difficult to piggyback and construct project unless
So I don't,
everything is the same. They are the same. There's still some differences.
There's nothing on God's green earth that's the same.
No, except, they do have some other thing because of.
So why shouldn't we, so what you're advocating is putting everything out for bid?
No,
Is that
I'm
correct?
not saying that.
That's what,
No.
that's
What
bottom
I'm
line.
saying, no, what I'm saying is that, was this a true piggyback? Did we use the piggyback, the name of piggyback, and do construction?
okay.
That is very important.
Let's,
I don't know, they've said they got 3 different prices.
No, so for 3 projects. For 3 projects.
let Bill say.
And what is the question?
Well,
Piggybacking?
But listen,
Was this truly a piggyback piggyback, or did you
What I-
actually get
what
bids?
I understand-
Since we're now discussing it.
Okay, I want to say that I'm pretty much done with my presentation.
Okay, but
If
you'll
you-
be talking more, I guarantee it. Go ahead.
What I understand is, one, the IG just recommended against it. Number two is they also said.
Against
piggybacking-
construction, piggy
They
construction.
also said piggybacking is a good, efficient method to
Yeah,
get resources. They said both of those things.
Right, no, my
Yes.
question was, since we're discussing it, I want to confirm for the record, was this project a piggyback or not?
It was a it ended up as a piggyback.
It was a piggy, okay, so this was a piggyback, okay. The next thing I think that is important, okay, I didn't know we were taking questions, but just keep it short, go ahead, at least Ryan.
Sure. I just, what we did piggyback was the North Florida Emulsions
Right.
contract, which was based on a unit cost.
Right,
So we essentially piggybacked the unit cost from Volusia County for this project.
right, which is what he discussed, that's what we
And
confirmed,
that's
we
all,
piggybacked.
we didn't piggyback the entire project, I just want to make sure.
Because
No, no, that's what we were talking about,
We
North
didn't
Florida
piggyback the
Emulsions.
engineering, we didn't.
No, we know that.
You know.
Pearl's been very clear that this. what this
And
was.
you know, my position is, the council made specific decisions, and we don't need to, let's not mix things up. It's very important because the council didn't do anything wrong. Let's start with that. They did everything that was in their power, and I think it's very important because you're jumping back and forth. North Florida Emulsions, not in December of 2013, months before, submitted 3 quotes. Not these, because this is for the piggyback. They submitted 3 quotes to do Marcella, Compton, and Bryan. One of them was $24,900, $24,800, $24,700. They all came under the $25,000 threshold. At that time, at the town council meeting, it was probably in the summer or in the spring before the summer of 2013, the attorney said, no, you cannot submit 3 quotes to try to circumvent the purchasing ordinance. That is one project.
Right.
Defined as one project. The council agreed. Okay.
And I,
That-
as a
and-
resident, even spoke out.
And that's where it ends. And then we go forward. And so they decided that they could, Mr. King came forward and talked about piggybacking one of his contracts at some stage in the game. So this is what happens. In December, we're trying to piggyback the vacant registry. And the North Florida gets lumped together. And the council member, Gerald, goes to the Inspector General's office to discuss the possibility and his thought about doing this contract versus piggybacking. At the December meeting, that item comes up. And what happened was there was a dispute between Mr. Gerald's interpretation,
You mean this Gerald?
yes, of what the Inspector General said and what the town attorney represented the IG's position was on piggybacking construction projects. After that meeting, because the Inspector General has all of our, and they watch all of our YouTubes, and especially if it has anything to do about expending money and this committee, on December the 26th, they sent a letter to the town council saying that Mr. Cutney did not misrepresent their position. And they requested that they be placed on the next soonest agenda so they can make their piggyback presentation to the town council. That's how the IG got into this thing. And from there, Mr. King provided different contracts he had throughout the state to see which one would be best suited to piggyback, because the council decided they were wanting to do this before hurricane season. There was not enough time to bid. And so Mr. King brought us the Volusia County. Then these proposals that are now dated April, he redoes them with reflecting using the Volusia County piggyback. The council approved that, even though the Inspector General had been there, because The Inspector General also recognizes that the council's prerogative, according to our purchasing, they can basically do however they want. They just recommended, they were not recommending against doing the vacant registry as a piggyback as well. So what happened was, at that time, the engineering came up and the contractor, the vendor was there, and he told the council we didn't need engineers, that he doesn't use engineers. But the council, and you got all the minutes, starting in January, where the council talked about drainage, they talked about the culvert that the district wanted to be replaced. We had to clean that swell area. Mr. Murphy came to the council. He told them that if the council would replace the culvert, he would clean the rest of the swell on Compton, because part of their problem was the drainage problem. They didn't want to put the road down till they got the drainage, and there's areas on Compton that would go underwater because it was so low. We had meetings at the IGC. We had walkthroughs on the roads. All 3 roads had some drainage issues. We were also having to get, during this period of time, we still hadn't gotten the 3 roads signed over to the town. The council approved the engineers doing a design, doing the drainage design, the plan and the specifications for the culvert and the installation of the culvert. The town council used the district because they could, and we would have to bid those projects out, and they were worried it was going to be over $25,000. So what we were able to use was the water control district for road repairs. That included the cost of the drainage, and the district would have the road prepared, because even with the district, we'd have to put down rock. They had to get the road prepared to put the surfacing on there. So the district did it at a lower price because we had a contract for $50 an hour. Mr. Choquette went in and cleaned that whole swell from one end to the other at that $50 an hour rate that he accepted under the district's contract. They replaced the culvert. It was Mr. Choquette that did the culvert work as well. All that was done. We were still getting the deeds, back, especially from Bryant, to sign over those roads to us while we were doing all this process. And then they went back and forth to the council. At the last council meeting we had with the engineers, the council decided they didn't want to go and do all that engineering. We didn't need those catch basins and things like that. They told the engineer we weren't going to do that, and they didn't do it. As a matter of fact, that was a very testy meeting where Councilman Ryan Liang apologized to the engineers at that night because they were thinking about using another engineer to look at the roads. And when it was all said and done, the town council was aware of all the expenses. Most of them were generated by them, and what they wanted, and then they would decide that they might not want to do that, and they didn't want to go so fancy. They didn't think it was necessary. At times they would decide it was necessary. All those expenses together is what it costs to do the 3 roads.
When Mr. Councilman Liang said that apologize, doesn't mean that we make a mistake.
No, he wasn't talking about that.
Your expectation to get the project is much bigger than we would like to offer. That's why you have to cut down the cost.
Well, I think
No,
it's
no,
just
no, 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 no.
apologizing for the rudeness of the engineers. Is that-
It was
Let him speak,
Yeah,
please.
what is it? Why you apologize for what?
Well, the reason why I apologize is because it seemed like the council was attacking the engineer.
That's
Yeah,
how I
so
interpreted it.
I was apologizing on behalf of the council, but also we also need to recognize that when the council first decided to do this project, and we gave the go ahead to Mr. Cutney to start the engineering, he or somehow the engineering company went beyond the scope of what the council was recommending to do. We were recommending to resurface the roads. And the engineer came back with basically doing a whole new road, regrading putting a new grade on the road, new grade on all the drainage swales, catch basins, and everything. That was beyond what the council was asking.
He was giving you a complete project.
But that was not what we were requesting.
Well, if that be the case, excuse me, why did you apologize? I mean, if the council said,
Because-
this is what they want, and they did something different.
I think he's being,
I just explained why. It wasn't apologizing for him going beyond the scope. It was apologizing to how we were talking to the engineer.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Darrow?
Ken, the reason Ryan apologized, because I kind of insulted the engineers. Hey, I put them on the point, and they
He's
said...
still.
I
Well, I mean, you know, that.
No, I insulted the engineers, and I think not just Ryan, kind of like apologized to them, Tom maybe too, but I insulted them because the overall cost with the way they wanted to do it was approximately $259,000, and that's what the engineer said at the podium. And so I guess I kind of embarrassed them or insulted them. So he was apologizing mostly for my actions, so.
Okay, all right. We've got that
Okay.
under. All right, so just very, very quickly though, if I may, since we've talked about the OIG and we have the letter here. I'm reading. Okay, page 2 of 2. The Inspector General on December 26, 2013 addressed a letter to Mayor David Browning. We all have the letter. I'm not going to go through everything, but a couple of points was that we informed Mr. Jarrell that it appeared as though the town needed to do more preliminary work prior to procuring services. We'll continue down, there was some other discussion, but I think, and this is going to lead me into what I wanted to talk about, was the bidding. We covered everything else, and I did say earlier I wanted to discuss bidding since this was opened up, and Ken also inquired about it. On page 2 of 2, it says, the decision to piggyback should be based upon a comprehensive review of the factors relating to each procurement situation. Furthermore, when an entity elects to piggyback, they are responsible for ensuring the original contract complies with established criteria, ensuring an open, competitive, and transparent procurement process which supports the public policy statement contained in section 287.001 Florida statutes. Did we follow that process?
I would say it was all transparent. It's all done before the council, done before the public.
Did we do open and competitive?
I don't think that's what
They-
he's
they-
saying. What he's saying
they
is,
refer to
Let
Lucia.
let Mr. Underwood finish. Hold on, go ahead.
my interpretation of what he's saying is,
The town is responsible.
I'll give you a practical example. Piggybacking is not abnormal.
No,
It's fairly common. The issue becomes, even when you piggyback, make sure that you've checked all the sources.
the original.
Because maybe you can
Original.
get it better, another piggyback somewhere else, or maybe you can just buy it outright, cheaper than the piggyback. So the competitive aspect is there. You don't limit yourself to where you're looking.
but we did have the option not to piggyback, and the only reason we didn't put this out for bid was because the town council was concerned about hurricane season? Is that the?
They wanted to have it done before the hurricane season, and they felt like if we went out to bid and we developed the specs and went through the procurement process, it would take too long. So they opted out with using the quote that they had received earlier in the year, but asked him to look at his contracts and which one could fit.
There's something that we haven't touched base on.
And like I said, the council, in their prerogative, has every right to do that.
That's right.
And since then, because they've put out their best practices, this committee reviewed, and we put together a new procurement ordinance, which the attorney has and has had for a couple of months, which incorporated the best practices that the OIG has requested that all cities embrace and incorporate.
Right, which
If
we've had this discussion.
We've had that discussion since
Would be
then.
retroactive to this incident,
The
so.
part that
No.
they mentioned about
Doesn't work.
the transparent and competitiveness is refer to the source, the contract. When Volusia County procured their purchases, the question is, we as a piggyback agency to make sure the process they had gone through was competitive and transparent. That's the most
Because
important
I just
part.
wanted to
Because
clarify.
That's the part.
You don't want to go to them and they did a piggyback on
Yeah.
a piggyback on
And
a
then we
Exactly,
don't
okay.
want to piggyback on something which is a small agency,
Okay.
which we are much bigger. And that's very important.
We have a question from Mr. Terry.
I was just saying, because we piggybacked Volusia's contract, they actually, it cut the price compared to what they had given us already. In other words, they took a loss because we piggybacked off Volusia. The original quote was higher than what we got when we piggybacked off Volusia, so the price dropped. We were looking at the time schedule. They said by the time we did all the plans and the engineering and stuff, if we were lucky, we could possibly be done by August. That's probably in the middle of hurricane season, and that would have been just to start the project. So we did it, we finished it before hurricane season, and the road looks better and better every month.
All right, so the point of this discussion then, Mr. Chu, would you like, as you said you're finished, but would you like to summarize? Earl, do you want to
Summarize it?
add anything after he summarizes?
I just want you to summarize by saying at the February 4th, 2014 meeting, the town council authorized the engineers to draw the specifications because at that time, the district advised that their plans were for residential culverts, not what we were doing. So the town council at that meeting authorized Johnny Choquette for the town to use the district to have Mr. Choquette to clear out the vegetation. Also, to include the cost of getting the roads ready, proceeding with the culverts using the district and Mr. Choquette hired through the district. They approved, they approved that the design, the culvert replacement, and the OGIM application on the roadways, but it's not OGIM, it's microsurfacing. They did that all at their February meeting. At February 18th, the notice to proceed was issued, and permit for the culvert was issued by the town and filed with the Water Control District. This was all done at the town council. And the attorney had finalized the road resurfacing agreement because there was a delay with Volusia County. I want you to know that Volusia County did advise that the suggestion that they made to the contract is that we have engineers on site to monitor the work and do the inspections of the work while it was being done. All that was approved. The council approved the monitoring and the inspections of the work by the engineers during that period of time.
Stop.
No. That was fast.
And this is what was done at the April 1st, 2014 meeting, because I know y'all have discussed about it. The engineer provided to the council estimated costs for the complete construction of each road of the project, and these were the numbers. But he was basing his estimating using OGIM, not microsurfacing. $89,891 for Marcella Boulevard, $63,000 for Bryant Road, and $101,000 for Compton Road. That included the cost of doing all the drainage, all the vegetation clearing, and all the culvert installation, inspection services, and the OGIM itself. That's what they recommended to the council. The council said, thank you, but no thank you. We're just going to do it, and we're going to limit the drainage. We're not going to do the catch basins. We're going to do the main drainage and clean out and that's what they did.
That's her conclusion, not mine.
No, that, I was reading
You're
that.
asking me my conclusion, that's
No,
all.
no, I was reading, I was just relaying what, not my conclusion, what was transpired at the town
Because
council
the
meeting.
conclusion I not purposely.
No, it's just
I was just being,
the agenda.
Public record.
Just,
Yeah, but okay, no, so have we completed this discussion?
you want to ask my question about what is my conclusion again, or I
Okay,
disappeared?
yeah, so what would you,
My conclusion is the cost jumped from 70 to 140, because rounded up, was because of the engineering cost.
well, no,
The
because,
engineering added to it. The actual OJ was 80 something.
well, not just engineering. We didn't jump to that. The culvert was a big problem.
right,
Well, I'm telling
Part
you,
of
the
the
actual
project.
engineering, which is $59,000, which you have on page 4, the material is
I have the
81.
engineering at 44,900.
Well, we add those, the numbers based on you. You
I
all
have
the number.
44,000 for engineering.
This number come from your pages.
These are your numbers.
Yeah, your numbers.
right, but what I'm hearing.
No, you've got the $3,400 that is not part
Oh,
of, that's not part of that was FEMA.
The FEMA had to be moved. Anyway, I just want to make sure
I'm
that
just,
that the numbers are being tied to the actual figures, because if the town or we are being accused of spending more than we should, that's not the case for the piggyback contract, number one. Number two, we got an IG conclusion that they only gave us guidance in the future what we're supposed to do. They did not take a stand one way or the other.
can I,
Nobody ever said.
because I'm not just a pretty face here, Lung. I know you think I'm a pretty face, but we've done other contracts. And my job is not just to post invoices or smile. I like to do research, that's my specialty, so I have spreadsheets on everything. The town has done another project. We did North Road. We did 3/4 of a mile. We spent $140,000 for North Road because I have this on a spreadsheet along with the district's OGIM. I like to know what the average is for our community when we're doing road improvements. On North Road, which is our project, it cost us $140,000 to do 3/4 of a mile OGIM. We hired the district, we piggybacked the district's engineer because it was 3/4 of a mile, and at the time, we were just gonna do it without the engineer. But because it was 3/4 of a mile, the council decided we ought to hire an engineer. At that time, we didn't have our own engineer, so we used Ehrman and Anthony. That was a $30,000 contract to do 3/4 of a mile. They did not do the survey, they did the inspection services. We did a mile and a half of road. The 3 roads are a mile and a half. We didn't do microsurface, we didn't do OGIM on these roads, which was a little bit less expensive than OGIMing, but we still had to prepare the roads, and we did the surveys, we did the engineering, and we added drainage, which the $30,000 when we did North Road did not include drainage. For my looking at it, it was in line for the project. We did a little bit more on this side, and you might say we did a little bit more engineering. Then you could look at the North Road and say we overpaid for engineering because basically what we were doing is for inspection services for a road that was 1/2 the size. So while it seems expensive, when you look at what the district paid and you break it down by foot, and what they spent on engineering and their road construction, and you look at the road we did, and you look at F Road, because we paid for that repair when the district was doing that, the engineer pricing might be a little bit higher, but there were things that they were asked to do, or things that had to be done for that road, especially Compton, before we did any of that work. And we didn't just we thought we were just going to do the hedging and some of the drainage only on Compton. But we did it on Marcella, and we did it on Bryant too, and the district billed us later, and it's not even in here, because after the end of the year when they submitted their last billing, They did some drainage and some on Marcella to get it prepared as well. Not to the extent that they did on Compton, but that was something that we hadn't done in the past, the town had, when we did another road. So it is a little expensive, but they did a little bit more than what would be necessary. Now, I'm sure they wanted to do it at the very best. The town council decided we didn't want the Cadillac, we just wanted to get the Chevy version. I mean, on price, I'm trying to be honest. They were trying to do as much as they could, the council, so it wouldn't do a bit of good if Mr. Murphy went underwater and he had a new road. They would still have the same problems that they were having. So the council wanted to address some of those problems, but they just didn't want to pay for the Cadillac version on the drainage. I don't think the council did anything inappropriately, and I don't think the council acted outside, or I thought that the expenditure for the project, it was expensive, but it was well worth it, and we can hope that it will last a long time.
Does anyone want to add anything else to these?
Yeah, just a couple of things. And, I mean, I think, Carl, the last thing you said was absolutely what, I agree with.
Yeah.
And I think but I think what brought this up, I think we've gotten off on a lot of different subjects, and we've kind of gotten away from what the reason that it was brought here. I mean, there have been comments made about, oh, this is political. And Long didn't read this, but it was on the first page. There was a letter in the town crier that came out on Friday, and it said, this is what it said, it was from a candidate who's running for town council, and not Virginia, another candidate, but he said, prior to the election.
Thank you for that.
Can I read that, Virginia? No, you don't.
Well, I didn't want to turn this into a political thing. I need guidance on that. Hold on. What are we going to do here with this?
I don't think it's germane to the topic. I think the issue is that when we booked the asset of the road, we booked it at the total value.
Okay.
And the components, and that there are various components. Those components are relative to the OGM cost, the engineering cost, the rock cost.
Right.
It's all in there. What
Right.
we put on our records, or your records, are, here's the roads. That's how much it costs.
Right. Okay, well,
And that's what we will depreciate.
Okay, and here's my one thing, because I actually don't sit there and read all the editorials in the town crier, although I might be writing some soon, but I thought Mr. Chu put in the comment that he wanted in his presentation here, did he not?
Yes.
Is that what you're referring to? That's why
Yeah.
I'm stopping.
This
Did
is
he not
actually,
address this already?
yeah, this is actually the comment brought to my attention, why we jumped from 70 to 140, why we piggyback. I think we have discussed that.
Is that what you're referring to? Is that the same thing? That's why I'm stopping and asking.
Well, I mean, I think that I'm supposed to have 3 minutes for public comment, and I think I gotta have 15 seconds.
Well, no, that's why I
Before
want to
got
make,
cut off.
no, I want to make sure though,
And
that
I don't know where it would be a problem to read a couple of sentences that were in the paper. I'm not sure what you're referencing.
I'm just making, no, if you
Virginia.
stop for a second, I'm just making sure, Mr.
You know,
I have no problem with you reading
No,
this.
I realize I'm not gonna be allowed to speak.
No, you
so
are going to be allowed to speak. I asked
have
for
no comment
clarification.
at this point.
At least
You've
I
made your
asked
point.
for clarification from Mr. Underwood. I asked Mr. Chu if he had already discussed it. You're more than welcome to say it. I'm just looking for clarification here, as I always do on anything that I do.
The problem is that the town attorney and the town council, the organization of the committees are not of the election, just like the organization of the staff. We're not even allowed to put up the forum advertisements on our website. Those are considered in-kind contributions to campaigns.
That's my concern
So
here.
that's probably, everything we've been doing in the last couple of weeks is trying to, the election is of the town citizens and candidates running, but it is not of the town government itself. And so the function of this.
But what I want to be clear on is we can reference, as Mr. Chu did. Mr. Chu did reference where the public can go to this comment.
Yeah.
I don't know if he referenced the source. Did you reference
It's
the source?
the source was on the post.
I don't think
The
you
time
referenced.
drive, the time drive.
Well,
And this is similar comments I've heard over and over.
right, but what I'm saying is we have referenced this, but we are crossing the line if we go into.
No, you can cross the line. The thing is, I mean, you can do whatever you want.
I just want to be careful
It's
here.
not of this committee. This is about elections. There was a letter to the editor,
Right.
and in that letter, they identified this project. And Elise came into our office as a result, and we gave her invoicing. We went through these things. The project, the way we see it, we booked it at that. It's 141 or 139.9, one of those.
Okay.
And
So-
and that was reflected in all our invoicing and our budgets and
Okay, so
our.
what I am saying now is at this point, we've discussed it, we understand that this is what related to this topic, and then now if Elise wants to read it, I'm happy to have her read it to the public record. I just want to make sure it's all germane to what we've been discussing here. I'm just establishing what we're doing here, and that we acknowledge it. Okay.
Well, I mean, I think when I've been interrupted twice when I've tried to speak, and that makes it hard to even keep your thoughts together. But I think the attitude in this room has, is really been a problem, because this committee is here to get the truth. When we formed it before, we wanted, your job is to, we want the public to have confidence in the
Yes, we
financials
do.
of the town. We want the truth to be out there. And the truth, it's simple, it's not complicated, it's not hard. The numbers add up or they don't add up, and that should be.
Which is what Mr. Chu
So if
presented.
a resident comes in and has a concern, or if someone writes a letter in the paper, whether it's election season or not, saying that they are questioning some of our town's financials, then that should be the number one thing that you guys
Yes,
talk
I-
about.
I-
That's your
But
But
job.
that's what he did.
And I really did feel that, I was interrupted before I even got half a sentence out, and I'm not sure what it is that everybody's afraid of hearing. But I do feel very, very strongly that this committee has done a good job, that our town has a good, our financials are our strength. We have done a good job with our financials. They're numbers, they're cut and dry, they're easy. But when you have something like that written in the paper, then it tells you that the public, or does not, that someone at least in the public, does not have confidence in either the way the town is being operated or in the financials, and this is the place to bring it.
Which
So-
Mr.
And we
Chu
should
did.
allow the public their 3 minutes. I think I've taken mine, I'm done. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say, you guys don't have the ledger entries in here anymore.
We don't have it for this
But you
this
are,
agenda.
you're gonna go back and have it.
They had, I forgot.
You need the ledger entries because, I
We
mean,
did
you were
discuss
talking
that in
earlier
the
about
beginning.
cost recovery. You
Right.
can't get that unless you look at the ledger.
Right,
It's your
which-
job to, don't take offense, I mean this in a good way, but your job is to watch them. That's your job.
And yes, ma'am, but you know what? We watch ourselves better than anybody
Yes,
watches
you do
us.
a good job.
But Elise,
And
that
you
was
know-
my error, that I failed to put it in there, and then I was gonna make the copies of it, because even in the email, I advised them it would be brought to them, and I walked out of the office and left them tonight. That was not done on purpose. They get those. We don't do a general ledger report anymore. It's a detailed trial balance. It is 3 times the size of the general ledger, but it has all the detail in it. But in the last 6 months, the council is very specific about what committees responsibilities and duties are, and they're not wanting any of the committees or responsibilities to go over what they allow them to do and what they're supposed to do. Now, I'm not saying the finance committee doesn't do that, because they don't, but this issue was never brought to them by the council. The council did this on their own. They never asked the committee to look at that. When the invoices came in, it was the normal accounting, because that's what they're looking at. But how many times have I told committee members, not only in this committee, but the other ones, when they ask, this is not your function and your role. The council hasn't allowed, and we have that from the other committees that want to get involved in the financials, and I always argue that that's not your role and function. Some of them, the finance committees, want to get involved in other issues that have not been addressed by the council. The council's been cracking down on what they want the committees to look at, and at no time did they charged y'all with going to get a road project, and you worked on that, but they didn't. This was done by them. By the time the next meeting came on, they had already approved this.
Okay.
This committee, I told them the other day, when they wanted to get involved in the contract of the chamber, that was not the role that the council authorized y'all to do. They wanted you to look at the 4 options and give them a recommendation, and they said, thank you, we appreciate it, and accepted their recommendation and moved forward when this committee wanted to get involved in the chamber contract. That wasn't one of their functions that the council had granted them.
Madam Chair, I conclude my presentation.
And Mr. Chu, I'd like to thank you for bringing this forward.
You're welcome.
I certainly hope it.
I'm sorry to give you a long lecture.
Can we move on to item F then?
It's too much to read.
We're just receiving and filing the approved purchase agreement of the Chamber of Commerce.
I'll make a motion, we receive it.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Moving on to closing comments. We'll start with Anita. Give you a break.
I'm
Put
ready.
me on the spot. The only thing that I didn't see, and I, again, Pearl, when I'm the one who requested to see the contract, and it was just to see it. It was just as a piece of information, of something that we were involved in. Making the recommendation of it, Jim most definitely was not to think that we had any authority over it.
No, it
Second
wasn't
guessing
you
it
that
was
asked
done.
them.
But with that said, I don't see anything for the purchase of the land in here other than is that a separate contract?
Separate contract.
Okay, and that, but it does exist. Just put my little heart at ease, heart sees.
No, there's no contract.
There's no contract.
No.
It's just a
The
lump.
the transaction will be, when they get $20,000, they will give us a title.
It'd just be a simple title transfer. Okay, that's really all I had to say, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, you done?
I'm done, thank you.
I am too.
Welcome.
I second Ken's motion, I'm done.
Mr. Chu?
Thank you for the time given to me tonight for clarification about the cost. And like I said, I don't want the committee being kept in the line about what is it, other people's accusing the town. It's very important. First, secondly, I want to congratulate the town moving ahead to get this location as our future home. We appreciate that we're able to get the break, to get everything. I really appreciate that. And we can imagine what we do if we could meet at that in the town office for our meeting. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I would like to say thank you for bringing this forward. I think first of all, we did address the trial balance earlier in the meeting, saying, and you did acknowledge that was being presented to us next month. Second, Mr. Chu did acknowledge the letter in a way that did not conflict with what's going on. I went to the town hall office today, and they could not even put up our forum flyer because they put Town of Waxahachie Groves on there, and it was made clear to me today that the committees and anything the town hall does, this is why I'm being careful, Elise. I did not intentionally mean to be disrespectful to you. I believe Mr. Chu covered the letter, he's given it to us in here. I think we've covered everything on this topic, and I'm glad you presented this to us. We discussed piggybacking, my concerns about bidding, because I did have a concern that I presented to the town council. I think it was a good discussion, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes,
I
please.
think since this is, if this is consensus of the group that maybe in the future, that we have something that will help out the department in regarding the purchasing, that I think we should entertain the request that if we have to review something to assist them, whether or not the process is falling into our procurement code, things like that. I think
We've discussed this
Yeah.
before also, I believe.
I think we should help out the process or.
Well, that's something we have to present to the town council, is it not?
No, they could put it on agenda for us if we want. Because this is falling into the order, the spend.
At the direction of the town council, though.
No, they could, the agenda was set by them.
And we established, we brought some number of months ago a draft ordinance rewriting the procurement ordinance. And it's just a matter of between the town attorney and me getting it shuffled through with everything else that we're doing. And we'll bring it back again. If you need to visit it again.
I'm talking about for all the future purchasing contract.
Yeah.
Right, we did that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
included.
I mean, in
Always
the future, if
This council,
if
always,
they're
this
willing
committee
to-
always did that.
I think this committee
That's why I'm
should
saying it was
entertain the
It's
request.
this committee
Yeah.
does it,
Yeah.
and everybody feels.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Well, you at a
no, no,
future
no, no,
meeting,
no.
we'll discuss it, yeah.
Just a concept.
Right, concept, and we'll discuss,
I'm-
if you want to
I'm trying to
discuss
be
it
fair
at
to
the
everybody.
meeting.
Yeah, they could-
Because that's what we
They could
discussed
bring it in.
earlier, that committee members can
Yeah.
bring anything they
Yeah,
want.
absolutely, yeah. Cool.
It's just we've been on
Well, we
pins
do
and
have
needles,
to-
you know, we've been told we're not allowed, and we don't
License with what they.
we don't want to be involved in anything.
I mean, what we,
It's just a
Yeah,
comment.
this one discussion was over a literary license. It was
I know it's tough.
not completely accurate.
Rough for
not
them,
completely
I know.
inaccurate.
Yeah.
but we went over the accuracies of what happened.
Yes.
Right.
All right.
It wasn't hidden. It was, this whole project was a year in the making. It took a long time, and it was completed, but it took over a year. And at every level, it went up to that town council.
You may want to invite the public to speak.
Pardon?
You may want to invite.
At this point, I will now for closing comments, and it may, if anyone would like to comment, Mr. Ferrier?
I think this is from here, town hall. They told me today
That's
that,
why he came.
They told me today that this is the capacity here, she's gonna get it for sure, but like the water control district, by code enforcement, they list their capacity of 60-something people. She believes that this capacity is 100 and something.
Got
Mhm.
it, yeah.
So
In here?
I mentioned to them that the ideal thing is if we have an overflow, we got a long hallway with the TVs out there so they can watch, with a podium out there so they can speak when the comment part comes up.
We'll go put
And
speakers outside.
outside, so if anybody's taking a cigarette break, they can be watching, listening to the meeting while they're out there smoking.
Maybe you should discourage that so they won't go to smoke.
Or visit, or you can go outside, but you can still hear what's going on.
Did you want to say something? Did you have a stand up?
No,
No, it's just Brian,
No,
it's your committee.
it's not my committee, it's the town's committee.
But you're the representative of this committee on the town council, correct?
I'm the liaison.
Okay. All right, so it's your committee.
No, it's not my committee.
Well, you're.
And with you present, that's why I'm being very, yeah, I just wanted to make sure everything was followed properly tonight.
I do have, because
We've
I
had
see Ryan all the
issues.
time, if anything important, I advise him to go to the tape, and he does review the tape all the time.
No, I think it's good, it's been aired out, and I think it's important. Good for us, everybody. I think Carl did a great job.
She's really good.
Perla?
Yes.
Okay, you.
Don't ask
Okay, so, do you,
her. I'm done.
okay, motion to adjourn. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
I already put people down.